In uni, I learned about this French performance artist named Orléans, and she spent the decade getting plastic surgery on her face to mimic parts of paintings from the European classical tradition. She got the brow bones from the Mona Lisa, cheeks from the Venus or something. And I've always thought that was a really interesting and gruesome way of highlighting the relationship between plastic surgery and ideals of beauty and the way it's all constructed, because the output of that work is not necessarily beautiful, even though it's constituted by beauty. And then another show that I saw that was dealing with plastic surgery was A Year Without Summer. And that was an epic, which was grappling with why do we want to live forever? And the role that medicine plays in sort of how we construct ourselves. There was this deeply uncomfortable but also spiritual moment where one of the performers live on stage put piercing hooks through their eyebrows and then had the ultimate facelift and sort of got lifted up by these piercings. I think there's a lot of good reasons to get plastic surgery and a lot of bad reasons. When someone gets surgery done, that kind of shapes the baseline for the people around them of what a face should look like. At the same time, some people are grappling with injury or dysphoria, and it's well, you know what? You do you. And so then along comes Losing Face, and it's a comedy, and it's grappling with plastic surgery, but also the industry behind plastic surgery. And I will say up front, I don't think it rises to the level of these other artworks and sort of grappling with the politics of plastic surgery. At the same time, it's one of the funniest plays I've seen in a good couple months. So it's got that going for it. It's kind of White Lotus-y in that it's about these three middle-aged friends who reunite for a spa weekend, but at a plastic surgery resort. And then they're sort of conned into or convinced into getting plastic surgery for a bunch of reasons. And it's really interesting seeing what those reasons are and seeing how their willpower erodes as they learn that some of them have already had work done. It kind of felt it was almost punching down on the idea of plastic surgery. And it's just I don't know, Melbourne Theatre Company. I do think a lot of your audience, and certainly at opening night, a lot of your audience have had work done. And sort of the politics of whether or not they should have had work done is separate. But there was something, I think, uncomfortable about the sort of mockery of people who get work done and then looking around and seeing people who've had work done. And I think maybe because of the context of this is on at Melbourne Theatre Company, I think the work struggles to sort of make a definitive claim about how it feels about plastic surgery. And it kind of gestures at all these ideas, but it's not the play about plastic surgery. But it doesn't have to be. It's a fun comedy, and it definitely is. Genevieve Morris and Will King, who play the sort of surgeon and nurse who help everyone get plastic surgery, are the most insane comic duo. And even the trio of White Lotus friends were fucking amazing. At the end of the play, it kind of shifts and it becomes less about the plastic surgery and more about these friends and sort of the role that friendship plays in their lives now, which I think is really interesting. But it just, as a work, feels very it doesn't have a focus on one thing, and it kind of wants to do a lot, but it's not long enough to do everything. So my review in essence is, it's good. It's really, really funny, and it's good. You know what I mean? But yeah, go see it for Will King and Genevieve Morris.